An executive session was held prior to the work session to discuss personnel items. Yes.
During the executive session, we covered discussion on special education lawsuit project C. Updates regarding acres, district appeal, safety report, discussion on remediation, special education department staffing, department staff. Recommendations for hiring to replace departing personnel discussion on the hiring of salary, and discussion regarding economic negotiations.
With that, we'll move on to the work session of June 9th. There are some additions to the work session. Okay, we discussed, accept the resolution of Carson versus Luzerne County Assessment Appeals valued at $40,000. Approve the stipulation of SDK Green Acres Tax Assessment Appeal. And, number 19 and 20. Okay, number. We discussed a appointment of Janet Cassat to the board vacancy filled or created by the death of Gary Richards. And also discussed approved a bus contract, ABP Bus Companies for 5 years, 2021 to 2025, 2022 to 2025 to 2026 school year. Yes. Any discussion on any?
Yes, I have lots of questions.
Yeah, we did start. This is work session. Any questions? Fire away.
Well, I mean, just a guaranteed payment, $3,000 a day for 180 days. With no out, no act of God, no nothing. That's unheard of. I would possibly do that. I don't know how we budget for that. I just don't understand. Subject to item 13, basically says that the police if they similar COVID or determined that they they want 85% of the fleet. So how can we hold the taxpayer responsible for taxpayer dollars? I mean, and that's just one thing. I mean, if the man doesn't work, can you see this insurance? Is that even stuff, right?
No, well, that's how he runs the business. He set up the rate and
So did we negotiate this contract or did we?
closed it. It hasn't been approved yet. Right?
But
So
what I mean, it's in front of us today, so
Right.
I'm just curious.
he provided numbers that he said needed to make the revenue. So that's the number we're looking at. Whether they, we actually like to approve or disapprove of everything for our contract.
I mean,
Make those numbers were reviewed by the transportation coordinator compared to what I was referring to make sure the district is getting a yes, there was discussion, we've been talking with, the bus contractors.
so there was negotiation.
Discussion with them as to what they accept and then asking them to put in the proposal for what they want. There was negotiations, discussions held in that process.
May I ask who's in the negotiation?
Myself, Kim O'Connell, Mr. Vasquez, and then the bus contractor. And Mr. Evans.
I mean, let's go on to number two. I mean, can we define what, there's no definition for cause for termination. Every contract I've ever been around has termination clause, 60, 90, 120 days, guaranteed, except for labor contract. Why does this, and there is actually no definition for cause. I mean, there's no definition whatsoever of cause. The mutual consent, why would this guy agree to mutually end this contract if he's guaranteed to pay?
So there's a mutual agreement to that, how both parties are happy. For cause is not typically defined, and that's typically what's litigated. If that's what you're asking for, then you could propose that motion for the board to modify the contract to include the definition of performance. But typically, there's not an out clause for the time. The reason being is that in order for the to finance the buses, the service us, and other elements, right, they need that time guarantee the contract in order for that to be able to do the financing through them. But you don't typically see.
Sorry.
Is this better? So you don't typically see a unilateral cancellation provision in service contracts. What you see is a cancellation for breach or for cause, which is what's there. But if you want something different, then that's something that you do there.
Oh, yes, I would like the termination. Give it a day, at least a day, days, 60, 90, whatever. There has to be a termination. Because this way, we can't get out of this. God forbid something happens to the district and our taxpayers, we're paying them no matter what. We have another flood come through the valley, we're getting paid, guaranteed.
So the mutual termination that you can always work on an agreement to mutually terminate, right? But if you're asking for a provision in here that specifically says the parties can terminate upon mutual agreement, is that what you're saying?
No, I want a clause in here saying that we can get out in a certain amount of days. 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. Mutually, who in their right mind would agree to not be paid? It's preposterous. I don't understand.
And the same goes back to the contractors typically won't agree to allow us to unilaterally contract or to unilaterally terminate because of their expenses and their costs associated with it. In order to enter into this agreement and buy the buses and finance the buses, they need the guaranteed continued income. But if that's what you're asking for, you can, when the motion comes to the floor, I suggest that you in the comments, make the motion to approve with the amendment of the paragraph you left. Or if that's not what you're looking at, to object.
Well, I mean, Richard, I think they have a meeting with them because they have expenses that have to be paid. And I forget
name.
And he represented, I think, their association. I don't recall who he represented, but his comments were basically the same that Lars has indicated, that the contractors have to finance their business and they can't do it without certain guarantees in the contract. That was his point.
And they were willing to litigate that.
Yes.
I mean, this agreement is clearly one-sided. It's clearly is not it's not for the taxpayers. The other thing too, I have a question on too. I mean, I have a bunch of them. This was handed to me at the empty hour, and I didn't bring my notes with me. But
Oh, you were emailing that. You should have got that in your email.
so the fuel.
You didn't just get that tonight. That was
Didn't say I
emailed
did.
3 days ago.
So the fuel is one of my questions. So the way I'm reading this here is we pay for the fuel for the buses, then he reimburses us not at a full rate, but they, I should say not they, reimburse us because we get them their fuel tax free.
Tim, do you want to answer that?
Hold on a second. Watch it come forward.
What currently happens in the bus contract is they deal with the fuel, and the contractors will go to their two stations in one is located in Trenton. So they'll give the buses, we get the bus slips, and the school district gets a discount because of the taxing, and then we subtract that amount from their books. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yeah. What happens is every year the bus contractors give us their mileage, and that's how we do the insurance report that we submit to this bank. They have to give us the mileage with your tax payments. No, that's done. The fuel report is a slip that comes in and they give us the amount of fuel that they purchase. Yeah, no, that's done once a year. That's actually what we're doing that now. And we get that from our insurance. We get slips from the company and then we track the fuel through that how much use on the tractor we use.
I still.
Go ahead, David.
I just have one quick question. I read where we're giving them 5% upfront. Is that close to being accurate?
It's a 5% increase on the daily rate for the first year, and then a 2% increase, two to three, depending upon inflation and the cost of living increase for each year going forward. Minimum of 2, maximum of 3.
Okay, Lars, and again, I'm not looking for a fight, but did we give our teachers, would you know if we gave our teachers 5% up front, or did we give them maybe 2/3 less of that?
The 5-year, I'm sorry. Without looking at the contract for the teachers specifically, they received approximately a 2% each year.
They didn't receive the 5% up front. That's all. I'm just trying to make that point. That's all.
I'm going to put your phone back down, Mr. Savage. Just for clarity of the record, Mr. Savage is calling in, so he was speaking through the phone.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm trying to develop the question for later rather than looking contractual things. Jim, I want you, if you come up, I'd like to ask. I think we asked you to do this, and maybe the taxpayers will get a better idea of how much they're paying and what they're paying for. Okay, who is the lowest fee or payout for busing services in Luzerne County? The lowest.
I called several different school districts and got what they were doing and how they were paying the bus contractors. And right now, we are currently the lowest.
In your opinion, let me go a step further. In your opinion, would be the same question, except in northeastern Pennsylvania, who would be the lowest?
Right, I did an analysis of both some school districts in Lackawanna County and Luzerne, and we are the lowest with those I contacted.
Okay, if we were to bid this, would there be any problems or any conflicts? Or?
Of course, you can get it, that's the board's decision. But I also talked to the director who is in Valley View and in Abington Heights, and they had put out their contracts to bid. The director from Abington Heights had done it prior to the COVID problems happening. They did not get anyone to bid, so they had to go back and renegotiate with the current contractor that they had been using. I also spoke to the director of Valley View, and they put theirs in for bid also. And they actually had a company coming from Philadelphia. The transportation director told me they did pay quite a bit more. And after that contract was over, they did renegotiate with their local contractor.
So ultimately, Kim, if we bid, is there a chance that we're going to end up imposing more money on the taxpayers that pay a bus?
Certainly, you could put it out for bid. If you're not getting bids, then you actually have to go back to renegotiate who you would be dealing with now, or if somebody else you want.
So this agreement.
Two agreements, contractors, Myers Bus Line Inc. And Mr. Camus, this is prior to me coming on board, but as I understand it, historically, for the last 10 to 15 years, we have had two separate contractors. They both have bus runs and they both have van runs. And so they have a different number of buses each. In front of you is only the bus contract, not the van contract. And so the numbers you see for the daily rate is based upon the total number of bus runs they have. Right? When you see attachment A there, that shows you the runs that they have and the amount per run and all of that.
So my question stands is, are we approving this document here with the signature pages on the back? If it was to come to motion tonight, is this the document we approve?
So the document that was emailed out to the board, I believe, would be the one that Mr. Mazur had to put on the agenda, but I'll refer that to Mr. Mazur.
Yeah, the one that was sent out. This is the same thing, isn't it? Yeah. Basically what you.
So my question stands, the daily rate on this sheet is $3,621.30. Now, when you flip back to our vendors' routes and their base daily rates, one base daily rate is that, and then we have another daily rate which is $6,000. So are we approving 3 or are we approving 6?
So that's so for Myers, for the Myers contract, right? The Myers bus line, their daily rate is $6,340, or $6,035.40.
Correct.
For the Miami Valley WVW Transportation Inc., doing business on WVW Transportation, their daily rate is $3,621.30.
Yes, sir.
So you're being asked to approve two separate contracts, I believe, one with Myers Bus Lines Inc. and one with ABP Transportation Inc.
But those numbers are not reflected in our contractual document.
There's two contracts, two separate contracts. The contract terms are the same, except for they are between two different entities with different daily rate amounts.
So they're exactly the same.
The provisions inside the contract for each contractor are the same, except for the daily rate amount, which changes based upon the number of runs. So attachment A and paragraph 1 for each contract would be different.
Very good, that's all I have.
Can I add real quick? I did get a text just now from one of the members of the press who respectfully asked if he could talk into the microphone. He said it's very difficult to hear. Thank you.
I'm sorry if I'm not being loud enough. I'll take my mask off.
I apologize as well.
Okay, so we don't have to say it, and we're gonna-
Yeah,
What is the motion? The motion is to approve the contract. Motion is to approve the contract. Number 15.
Are we in work session or agenda?
You have to have it. Number 15 would be. I'll read all of those.
bus contracts as presented for,
I have it here. Approved bus contracts for Myers and ABC bus companies. I did read it before, the years from 2021 to 2022, 25 to 2026. Is there anything else? Anybody else want anything for the work session? We could move on to the regular meeting.
Before we do, Joe, what about the performance? I'm gonna vote on this. What was the performance of Dave? What was the performance of the
I will say from the years that I've dealt with both bus companies, Phil has been Myers, I believe, over 40 years, and Pat Hogan's, they've been exemplary bus contractors. They've been very good about providing buses to us in a pinch. So I would say they've done a very good job.
And Kim, would you agree? Excuse me, Mr. Chair, on the record, I'm not saying anything negative towards our bus contractors whatsoever. I don't know them personally whatsoever, or have ever associated with those people. However, I just don't feel that this document is beneficial to our taxpayers 1 ounce to all the different
Does anyone have anything else that we need to, for the work session? Okay, if not, we'll go to the regular scheduled meeting. Wednesday, June 9th, call the roll.
here,
Here.
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 Here. Here. Dave said yes. Here too. Okay. We'll have a moment of silence followed by a salute to the flag. In our moment of silence, I would like you to remember our deceased member, Harry Richards. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, motion to approve the. So moved. Second. Approve superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mazza. Recently, our district participated in the state meeting of the Pennsylvania Junior Academy of Science. This year's event was a virtual event with over 1,000 students participating statewide. Our district had 4 students and 5 projects qualified based on the regional meeting held in March. The students presented projects in mathematics categories. The following awards were earned on this state level. 8th grade, first award, Lily Shemansky. 10th grade, one first award and one second award, Zach Konopke. 10th grade, first award, Murphy Pick. Also, 10th grade, second award, Matt Saporito. Congratulations to the students and their advisor, Mrs. Konopke. I'd like to also announce that summer plans for our enrichment camps here at State Street, the middle school and high school, continue to move forward. Transportation rosters are being finalized. Parents will be notified in the very near future, within the next week and a half, in terms of specifics with the transportation and the times for the students for the summer enrichment camps. Right now, we're looking at close to almost 300 students participating. We have received a number of calls from district residents, from parents in regard to next school year. We want to announce that as of now, moving forward, the plan for this district will be traditional schooling in September if we can continue to go the route that we're going with this pandemic. We would also have, in addition to our traditional schooling, the Wyoming Valley West Cyber Program, which has been in existence for over 10 years. We will not be doing virtual live instruction via Chromebooks, which we had to do this year. And I would really like to commend our faculty this year. Very difficult circumstances, obviously, with the pandemic, that we're asking teachers to teach to a computer with students live, as well as students in the classroom. It was not easy, and I think our faculty staff did a great job with it. The final item that I would like to bring up deals with our dress code. To refresh everyone's memory on the board, once the pandemic hit prior to the start of the school year last year, we took into account the fact that a number of students would be virtual at home, and because of the hybrid format that we implemented, a number of students would only be attending school 2 days a week. So the decision was made to implement a provisional dress code, still implementing the dress code, but provisionally with a couple exceptions. I asked the district dress code committee the last month to take a look at the provisional dress code, and for the upcoming school year, we thought it was extremely important to get the information to the parents in a timely manner on how we were going to implement the dress code this year. As a result of it, the committee took into account and was cognizant of the pandemic, the financial hardships that our families have had to endure and continue to endure. As a result, the dress code committee has made a recommendation to continue the provisional dress code for the 2021 school year, and I'll open it up to the board for comment. Right now, we're up to almost 300 students, primarily on the elementary. We don't have great numbers right now in the middle, and credit recovery will be implemented on a high school level. We think those numbers will go up as we reach the last week here of school and we take a look at what their grades are. So we'll make credit recovery available for our high school students, and again, the elementary students here. One of the reasons that we are keeping it in one building, obviously State Street's our newest building, it's air conditioned, and we want to try and make it as conducive as possible to the students when they're in here for learning. That'll be essentially a 6-week program, 3 days a week, so about 18 learning opportunities.
So when you say credit recovery, some of these failed this year would be able to
If,
make up that.
right, if a student has failed up at the high school, we will make arrangements through credit recovery that they can come to essentially at the high school to make up the work. If they do it in a sufficient manner, we'll sit down administratively and with the family and the student, and if we need to, at that point, move them on and give them credit, we certainly will do that.
Anthony, is there any way you could send out a logo call or an email message, something that let parents know about that? we have about 5,000 students. You know how to get grades for it. I know, I think the reason that parents know how valuable it would be to make up those classes.
We'll continue to do that. We'll make the robocall this summer. We've probably made about 2 or 3. We've sent the Remind app out to parents, but we'll continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I guess I can go out of order here a little bit. Under general recommended action, number 21 is to appoint Janet Cassett to fill the vacancy created by passing of Gary Richards. Janet? Judge? Oh, I need a motion from the board.
So moved.
Call roll.
Yes.
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 Up, Judge. Comes the judge.
It's all downhill from here, Janet.
Okay, you have to sit down. Okay, statements from interested citizens. Citizens addressing the board are asked to state their. I'm sorry, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the president has asked me to make the following statement. The Sunshine Act provides the opportunity for district residents and taxpayers to make public comment to the board. The act also permits the board to adopt reasonable rules to regulate public participation in the board meeting. Any member of the public who is attending here in person or by Zoom technology who has comments for the board is asked to comply with the following rules. 1, your comments are limited to 3 minutes. 2, you direct your comments to the board president only. 3, you practice reasonable civility and decorum in your comments. And 4, please begin by stating your name and address, and your group affiliation, if any. Okay, Mr. President, if you want to.
All right, with that, we'll move to statements from interested citizens. Citizens addressing the board are asked to state their name and town of residence in accordance with board policy number 903. Statements are limited to 3 minutes.
Okay, we have 2 members of the public. Correct, I'm sorry, there's 3 now. Beth, I have unmuted you. You could speak. She's not.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, yes, we can.
You can hear me. Hi, my name is Beth Crandall Marachko, and I live at 321 Ridge Ave, Kingston, PA. I have a brief statement, and I would like to say, before I start saying what I needed to say, whatever was going on in the beginning of the meeting was very disheartening that we could not hear what was being said. My husband has a saying, We are big spenders with other people's money. And I don't know what you were spending money on or what you were voting on, but it's very disheartening that we could not hear appropriately what was going on. Let me go on with what I need to say before my time is up. I am an American citizen. I am a citizen of Pennsylvania. I'm a citizen of Kingston. I am a resident of the Wyoming Valley Watts School District. If you have not noticed, the order of this breakdown does not represent the order of power. As a grandparent, parent, guardian, I have been appalled by the behavior of our school district. I have been watching our community, our state, our nation, and our world. I have been upset that no questions that have needed to be asked have been asked. Memorial Day was a day that pushed me personally over the edge with this mask requirement. All the adults in the parade were maskless, and our children were wearing masks. Does this not make you question, why are the people that are most affected by this virus were maskless, and the children that are not spreaders, carriers, etc., were wearing masks? Does anyone else see the stupidity and the hypocrisy in this? This shows the complete incompetent decision making that we have. You, our school board, are our decision makers. You cannot pass the buck to the teachers' unions, the state, or the federal government. Remember the order of power. If our school board is incapable to stand up for our citizens, our community, and our students, maybe we the people need to consider who we place in these positions. As I watched the last board meeting, I noticed there was no diversity on our board. I know things have changed a little, but we have a lot more to do. As a taxpayer to the Wyoming Valley School District, I have drawn a line in the sand. No, wait, I've drawn a trench. I will not stand anymore for the rights for some and not for others. It stops, and it stops here. The right to choose for your child to wear or not to wear a mask is the parent's choice. The right to take the jab or not take the jab is your choice for you and your family. And it's nobody's business what your choice is. You, as our board, need to make a form to opt out of the mask wearing and get it done. The mask will be forced on us again in the fall because they just announced the new bird flu coming from China. So let's get ahead of the curve. Also with the mask, it's against their religion. It's okay for some religions that require the mask to let them wear the mask. But if one's religion does not allow them to wear the mask, they have the right too, not to wear the mask. As for the jab, if you want to get yourself and your children, you have that right, just as I have that same right not to get it. Our bodies, as science say, have 380 trillion, that's right, trillion viruses in our bodies. If you choose to wear a mask for all 380 trillion natural viruses in your body, go ahead, your choice. I choose not to. If you want to take 380 trillion jabs for all the viruses in your body, go ahead, your choice. I choose not to. All these choices are our rights to be made either way. With the freedom that has been granted to us, we all will have the consequences of our own decisions and our own choices. I have weighed my options and have made my decision. I have been told by parents and teachers, if I don't like what's going on, put my kids in a private school. No, I have paid my taxes. And my tax dollars you have collected every year. It is you as our board.
Next.
Okay, we have now 5 additional people who would like to speak. Next up is Mr. Tazinski. Go ahead, Mr. Tazinski. you've been unmuted.
I'm here. Can you hear me, folks?
Yes.
I would like to echo Mrs. Marachko's complaint that the beginning of the meeting, and for the most part, almost the entire work session was unlistenable. The audio quality was poor to non-existent, and many things that were discussed were not available to the public. There were limiting public participation, and so I have some questions about what was discussed, and I'd like to be given specific answers. First and foremost, was the school bus contract and Mrs. Cassatt's appointment discussed in executive session? I thought I heard Mr. Majer say that.
Discussed in the work session, or in the executive session.
It was not discussed in executive session? But it was discussed in the work session, correct? Mr. Majer?
Yes, I said absolutely.
Again, Mr. Majer, the audio quality, I apologize, but I can't hear you, and it sounds like a lot of other people, including the press, couldn't hear you for most of the work session. So I'm asking for clarification.
I said yes.
Yes to what, sir? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be.
It was not discussed in the work session.
That being Mrs. Cassatt's appointment and the bus contract.
Right.
Okay, I'm trying to be very clear here, sir. I'm not trying to aggravate you, but it's very disheartening not to be able to participate in this meeting when the board is meeting in public, but the members of the public are not allowed to attend. Whereas every school district in the county has been having in-person meetings allowable to the public. How much longer is the public, sir, I'm still speaking. How much longer is the public going to be excluded from in-person attendance at the Wyoming Valley West School Board meetings?
That would be a board decision, not mine.
Okay. Finally, it is my contention, and I'm going to ask the board, and I like to be placed on record as stating, since the school bus contract was not on the agenda, that's on the website of the district, and that substantial amounts of the discussion regarding the bus contract were not able to be heard by the public, that any action on the bus contract be shelved tonight and not acted upon because the public was not allowed to participate and listen to the nuances and all the details of the contract.
Okay. That's your 3 minutes. You're done?
I still have 32 seconds. I'm asking that the audio quality be improved or the meeting be adjourned and a better meeting arrangement be done, because you can't do this and allow the public. You're keeping the public from participating in the meeting because we're not able to hear you. So what steps are you going to take right now to improve the audio quality?
I think we have very good audio quality. I don't know why you couldn't hear us.
I can't hear it. Members of the press can't hear it. Mrs. Marachko can't hear it.
Well, I don't know. I can't, if I get any closer to the microphone, my mouth will be on it.
Well, sir, you have an obligation.
Maybe it's the mask. Hear me better without the mask?
Whatever it takes, sir, you have to do it. If you're told that people can't participate because of audio quality, you have to make arrangements for us to be able to hear you.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
What are you going to do?
Next.
Okay, our next caller is Travis Buchanan. Travis, you can go ahead.
Travis, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you still hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start now. I have a few things. The main topic I want to make sure I get out is I have 3 children within the Wyoming Valley West School. Well, 2 within the Wyoming Valley West and 1 at Tech. My issue is vapes in the school are a big issue. I got my kids on vapes, and I have not introduced them into their lives. They're not purchasing from stores up at Turkey Hill. I apologize. My name's Travis Buchanan. I live in Plymouth, Main Street. They're not getting them from the stores. They're not getting them from the grocery stores. They're getting them from school in the bathrooms. So I have a big issue with Nanacoke having vape monitors in their schools and Hazleton having vape monitors in their schools, and the amount of money that we pay in taxes to this school district. We don't have, modern day basic technology in these schools to help out the security with combating the vape issue. You got kids that are 14, 15, 16 years old that are going to have breathing disorders by the time they're 19 and 20 years old because they believe vapes do not have an issue and are not like cigarettes. And I believe, in my belief, they're worse. I work with people that only vape and they breathe like they've smoked for 20 years. So I want to know what the school is going to do to combat this issue. When my kids come home and tell me that they go in the bathroom and there's multiple kids in the bathrooms vaping and there is nobody looking after that, there's nobody monitoring the bathrooms, how many people are in there, how long they're being in there, what they're doing while they're in there, I have big issue with that. I send my kids to a facility to be safe, looked after, taught, basic educational foundations for the future, not to come back with an addiction to vapes. I have a big issue with that. I don't know why we're sitting on that and that hasn't been taken care of. There's been other schools that have taken care of it. It's not an expensive upgrade, but it needs to be looked at. Real quick, I want to agree with the first and second speaker. I could not hear you at the beginning of that work session. It had to do with your proximity to the microphone. It looks like there's one microphone for every two people. So when you get to those corners, that each person needs to be right at it all the time. When you stood up, you totally lost sound. Nobody could hear you. It's not just those first two speakers. And I agree with the second speaker as well. There's no reason that we cannot come full time into that building and sit in on those meetings. Every person that came into camera view did not have a mask on, yet you are still sitting in front of the camera wearing masks. So don't tell me it's a mask issue when everybody that is off camera is not wearing them. Do not show off for the camera with the masks when everybody behind the camera that we can't see is not wearing them. All right. It's not good. Just do away with it, vote it out, be done with it. It's okay. You don't have to feel bad about it. We don't care. Most of us could give to, do what you got to do. They're not wearing them at Walmart. They're not wearing them at Turkey Hill. They're not wearing them at Dunkin' Donuts. You don't have to wear them for the camera. But my main issue was the vapes. I want the school board to really look into that. It needs to be taken care of. I'll be at the tech school board meeting on the 28th with the same issue because I have kids in both schools and I don't want my kids addicted to vapes because of high school.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure we will definitely look into it. And if it's not being done, it will be.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Maj, I would just like to say in that regard, ironically, Mr. Rivera, our Director of Buildings and Grounds, talked to me today about looking into vape detectors for next year. So thank you, Mr. Buchanan, for the call, but we are looking into that for next year.
Good idea. I'm all for it.
Our next caller is David Bond. Okay, Dave, you're unmuted.
Thank you, Mr. Yanchik. Good evening, members of the board. My name is David Bond. I own property at 43 Valley View Drive, Courtdale, Pennsylvania. I currently have 2 school-aged children being educated in the district and one who is registering and will attend in the fall. Do I have permission to proceed?
Yes.
You're a citizen.
Thank you.
Yes. You hear me? Yes.
Yes, I may. I will echo the responses first and complement with a second concern. First is the volume concern. I would like to thank Mr. Anthony Waskevich, the Director of Technology, and Mr. Rich Yanchik, who is hosting the audiology for tonight's meeting. I am, as well as the gentleman to your right, Mr. Tosh, administrators in the district who are well aware of the capabilities of these individuals who work hard day in and day out. And I can assure and rest assured it's only my opinion to the citizens of this district that those individuals would have sound that would blow any concert of montage out of the water. And there is absolutely zero reason for any constituent of this district to be inaudible and not hear what is happening with respect to this open forum meeting. Secondly, with respect to reviewing the meeting online, the gentleman to your right, Mr. Tosh, Superintendent, is well trained, as is every other educator in this district. We watch body language constantly as educators of children, and subsequently do that with adults. When we are performing a community meeting online, right now, my screen is blank. I do not see members of the board. I do not see your gestures. I do not see your human behavior. And subsequently, I find that to be just as problematic as being able to be audible for such a meeting. I'm requesting that technology be reviewed in order, should we continue through this format, that we consistently see the body language of all board members rather than looking at a blank screen as we participate as commenters of such a public forum.
Anthony, did you hear that? Was that?
I heard nothing.
No, I'm asking Anthony if he heard what you said. He's looking, he was under the impression
It's just incorrect.
But the meeting stated has not been presented back to public forum. Therefore, it is- That's a violation of our sunshine law. This meeting should be terminated as well as needed.
I make no hesitation to reserve to indicate that I could line up a significant number of people who would yield time to me. I fully am aware that I will take more than 3 minutes. If you fully feel that you need to cut me off, you do what you need to do as a board president, Mr. Majer. But I would like to move forward and compliment the appointment of Mrs. Janet Cassatt. Mrs. Cassatt was an aide at Dana Street Elementary who served under my supervision. Mrs. Cassatt was there for students, period. She took initiative. She was a outside the box thinker, and it was clear with her own child in the district that she looked for the district's best interest. And I compliment her for stepping up into this role to help move our district forward as a school board member. So I thank you, Mrs. Cassatt, for your service to our community.
Thank you, Mr. Bond.
okay.
I have additional comments, Mr. Majer. I'm still in the comment period. If you feel you need to cut me off, you do so.
We do have,
Right.
we have a rule of 3 minutes and we have other people waiting to get
Mr.
on.
Majer, I am fully aware of the 3-minute rule. Again, I will gladly yield to any member, but I wish at this time, as a 43-year-old member of the community and a 20-year employee of the district who has not taken a second of board minute time, I believe I have earned perhaps at least 2 or 3 additional minutes.
Listen, maybe in 43 or 23 years, you should have came to the meetings and you could have said whatever you wanted. I mean, we can't take it all in tonight. If you have it, if you want
Okay,
to put it in writing and give it to Mr. Tosh, and I'm sure he will answer, but we need to move on. Thank you.
Mr. Majer, my concerns are with you, sir, so I would like to begin to address those as comments.
You can do those, write them down, I'll answer them, but right now we're done.
So, Mr. Majer, are you in any way concerned as a
Next.
Our next person who wants to speak is Emma Merrick. Emma, you are unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Emma Merrick. I'm from Kingston. I have 2 children in the district. Like all of the other speakers before me, I want to complain about the horrible audio quality at this meeting and prior Zoom meetings. I've been watching this meeting since it started at 7, and for the first 10 minutes, could not hear a single thing happening. Since that point, the audio became erratic, and most of it for about another half hour was completely unintelligible. I will say the audio was perfectly clear when Mr. Tosh was speaking, and the audio has been perfectly clear when other citizens are speaking during public participation. It is only all of the rest of the board members that can't be heard. I don't know if it's your microphones or your masks or the audio setup, but it is absolutely appalling. Also, the chat feature on Zoom is disabled. So there's no way to say to whoever's monitoring this that the audio isn't working. The chat feature on YouTube is not disabled, but there doesn't seem to be anyone paying attention to relay when people are commenting repeatedly that the audio is poor. So we're mostly sitting here for 30, 45 minutes, an hour, barely able to hear anything you're saying, and we can't even convey to you that we can't hear what you're saying. It's very disheartening that all these decisions are being made and we're allowed to watch and have no idea what's going on. Considering that for the first 2 virtual board meetings last year, there was no feature for public participation. That didn't happen until a 3rd month in when there was a special meeting about sports. I can't comprehend how a year later, the audio situation is still this pitiful. Second, I would like to know why the public can't attend these board meetings in person, because obviously the board is all together right now. They're not doing something virtually. The schools have resumed full-time in-person instruction. Most adults, or all adults if they want to be, could be fully vaccinated at this point. So why is the public not allowed to attend the meetings in person, especially given that the audio quality doesn't allow for them to actually witness or participate virtually, even though it's set up to do so? Another point I'd like to make is, I don't remember if it was Mr. Vasquez or someone else pointing out that with the Sunshine Act, we were allowed to speak. We had up to 3 minutes, where we were from, yada, 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 and that we were reminded to be civil and polite in our conversation. But I don't hear a lot of civility or politeness coming from members of the board when they respond to comments from the public that they don't like. That's a two-way street. If you want civility from the people speaking to you, you should have the courtesy to return civility to them. Finally, I would like to congratulate Mrs. Cassatt on her appointment to the board. I don't know who she is. I've never heard of her, but it is extremely refreshing to finally see some diversity on this board. That's all I have to say tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Tanya Scholl. Tanya, you should be unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening. My name's Tanya Skull. I live in Kingston. I have 2 boys. One is school age. He turns 14 this year and will be a freshman in 2021-2022 school year. My family made the decision to pull our school age children out of school district and completely homeschool them because we felt that you, the school board, were not going to make good decisions for our children, and time has proven us right. I am here today to ask you to work on making future masking a parent's choice. This has always and should have always been a parent's choice because we are the sole advocates for our children, well-being, and their health-related issues. I've contacted the assigned pandemic coordinator, Mr. Dickton. I've given him my whole entire view on the mask issue. And I also went and took photos of multiple mask packaging labels, and they all have the same concept. This mask is not a respirator. This is not meant for surgical or medical use. There was a box that says, this mask may help protect you against certain particles. Another one also says it reduces potential contact by the wearer to fluids, but does not eliminate the risk of contacting a virus, disease, or a risk of infection. There's another brand that quote states, this does not protect against transmission. Please note that these boxes were your typical mask packaging boxes. A sense of false security of protection is what they're giving you. Masking technique often applied by manufacturers. And the before mentioned disclaimers on these boxes, they're on there because they know they don't work. And they know they don't work and they put it on there so you cannot sue them. Now let's get to those homemade masks that everyone's wearing, you know, the fashionable, the fun ones. They're just a fashion statement. They're not for medical use as well. So instead of protecting our children, We're scaring our kids, installing in fear into no scientific evidence that masks help prevent COVID. However, the CDC put out a statement in reference, and I quote, that masks are breeding grounds for infection and bacteria, mold, and fungi. This is unacceptable. The CDC also recommends that you wash them and replace them every 20 minutes because they get wet, they get dirty, they become ineffective. They're not helping anyone. There was a study done in Montana Daily Gazette. They did over 25,000 school-age children on wearing masks and how it affects them. 53% had increased headaches, 50 had a difficulty concentrating, 37 experienced drowsiness and fatigue, 29.7 had shortness of breath, 26.4% had dizziness, 44% don't even want to go to school anymore. The masks are affecting and outweighing the dangers of this virus, of any virus. We know COVID has a 99.9% survival rate. What is the survival rate of all the effects that masks are causing in this study? I also did a petition. I started a petition unmasking our children. As of today, I have 83 signatures filled out online and in paper form. I spent 2 hours walking the street, talking to taxpayers and citizens in our school district. I was encouraged. I was impressed on how many people are against this forced mask wearing. I'm sick of hearing parents say, oh, they don't affect our kids. It's okay. They're okay with it. No, we don't wear them. Why should they? I talked to a high schooler. He doesn't want to wear them. Our citizens should not be afraid to speak their own opinion without backlash from you, the board, the teachers, the other parents. I believe that infringement on our freedom and the definition of bullying. So the bullying is starting there in the room. There's 11 current states. There is 11 current schools in the state of Pennsylvania that are made at mask choice by parents. Mask choice is what we need. There's 11. Yeah.
It wasn't our decision to wear masks. It was the governor that made us wear masks.
Well, that's what our school board
it was the governor. Why don't you call him?
You can change that, sir. There's 11 schools that have changed this. Cumberland Valley, Rockwood Area School, Montoursville Area School District, Northern York County, Mifflin County School District, Cacao School District, Central Bucks. That is the third largest.
Okay, ma'am, you made your point. We understand, and
I am not done, sir.
Well,
this is your job. You need to have a backbone, and you need to stand up. This is unlawful. Unlawful. This is charades, and the game's over. You need to make this a parent's choice. I will not stop. I will attend every board meeting.
Okay,
until
please do that. Okay, but we have other people, and we need to move on. You made your point, and I'm sure our superintendent and our staff will look into it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we have Rachel Harding.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to first off say I could not hear the first 15 to 25 minutes of the meeting and have heard everybody speak as clear as day, and I hope they can hear me too, just as good. I absolutely heard nothing, and I did hear the media host say they could not hear anything either. I know I have limited time here, so I do have a list that I won't go through as Tanya was just doing. There's a lot of school districts that were able to make masks optional. I have a daughter in the Wyoming Valley School District going into 3rd grade. We were very happy to put her into school. And at the end of the year, this past week, and it's only Wednesday, more kids have been sent home than ever before. Due to heat exhaustion, although the nurse might not say that, but Dana Street Elementary has no air conditioning. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. My daughter was in school for, 3 years now with no air conditioning, no fan, and 5-minute mask breaks 2 times a day. I find that crazy. And, the mask optional thing, won't you put some effort into that, please? Because on May 21st, on a study between children 0 and 17 years old, have had 300 deaths in the United States. There are 328.2 million people in the United States. Now, just getting to Pennsylvania, there's been 297 cases as of this past week, the lowest since March 25th, 2020. And this was just reported again 2 days ago by the Department of Health. There's 12.9 million people in the state of Pennsylvania. I did fact checking and I made sure everything I was checking was fact checked. So I find it crazy that our tax dollars, and as a taxpayer, that there is no air conditioning in these schools with masks, and they have, tests. The last 2 weeks of school have important tests to take, and they're under an insane amount of stress. These little children wearing masks. Now, furthermore, I just want to say we're using sanitizer, correct? We're keeping them socially distanced, correct?
Correct.
All right. So the spread of any disease, and I'm not a doctor, but I have everything printed out right in front of me. And, let's be honest, it makes perfect sense that touching stuff and then rubbing your eyes is how you transmit any kind of virus or get sick from anything, coronavirus, the flu, any of that. I think social distancing and using sanitizer should suffice well enough to keep everything at bay. The numbers are down since March 25th, 2020, significantly. You can look that up on anything and it will tell you that. If I'm not asking maskless, I'm asking optional. I know how other parents feel, especially if there's compromised immune systems, but my child has been sent home sopping wet off the school bus, soaking wet with sweat, red in the face. She's been pulled off the soccer team twice from heat exhaustion. She had water. I have a picture of the soccer team, the 40-foot soccer team, of a child dry heaving because they're wearing masks outdoors. Please look into that. I feel like crying, and I think that isn't stand. It's just crazy. I didn't know you guys did not have air conditioning in any of your schools except, I believe, State Street. Is that correct?
School too.
High school.
Okay, so there's no air conditioning in Dana Street, and that's really crazy. They're trying so hard. These children are trying so hard wearing masks when they have an immune system. They can social distance, they can sanitize. They don't need make it optional. There's other districts that have done this in the state of Pennsylvania. I know you're going to say the governor this and the governor that, but please, let's work on changing this together. That's all I'm asking. And please take everything I said into consideration.
I guarantee you we will address this. And I believe we only have, 3 or 4 more days of run.
I understand that, but this is America, but it's not a communist country. We can use our common sense and use social distancing and sanitizing.
We'll just try to follow the rules, but maybe sometimes,
Okay.
But we will look into it, I promise.
Okay, thank you. And I did not hear you guys again. I don't like the audio issue. I could hear everybody else free and clear.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have John Gorman.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm John Gorm, Kingston. I have 4 children in the district. I kind of wanted to follow up the rest of the people that spoke, and actually give a positive message to the school district. I want to thank Mr. Dickton for all his hard work as the point of contact during this entire pandemic, and Mr. Tosh as well. You know, these people speak and they come across like this is such an easy task. You know, and being the person in the district, such as Mr. Dickton and Mr. Tosh, who's leading the district, to have to do contact tracing on such a large organization is no small task, and I want to thank them for that. My daughter was able to attend school when it was safe, and she has not yet had to be quarantined. You know, sports teams were able to have seasons. Coaches did what they had to do to keep kids safe. And kind of to piggyback on what some of the people were saying that, you know, doesn't really make sense, but they don't understand it, is the reason the numbers are low in our schools is because the students were not at full attendance. And if we were at full attendance and unmasked, we would be what you call a super spreader. And there's no district that would avoid that, because once there's incidents where there's no masks, you know, the spreading is amongst the kids, especially the middle school age and the high school kids, is just, you know, unbelievable how fast it spreads, and the contact tracing becomes out of control. And, you know, next thing you know, the CDC will be shutting down the school. So, you know, I commend you guys for what you're doing. If the numbers don't improve and if we need to wear masks next year, I support that. You know, review your return to school plan over the summer, as, you know, all public school districts will. And, you know, if we need to, I think the kids should go back into school with masks and be safe. And, you know, some of the comments were made that the kids, you know, are suffering because they're wearing masks. The kids aren't suffering. I have 4 children in the district. I know hundreds of kids. I work in a public school. The kids are very comfortable with the masks, and they would much rather be in school and have masks on than not be in school. So you guys, you know, you have the support of a lot of people to do what you need to do to get kids back in school next year. And I know that's a long way off, but, you know, once again, I thank Mr. Dickton for all he's done. I had a couple incidents where I needed to speak to him personally, and he was very cooperative and, you know, helped my children through some things. So, you know, got to keep up the good work with the pandemic stuff, and hopefully we get back next year full swing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, up next we have Kim Bazadona. Go ahead,
Kim, are you there? Kim, you there?
Okay, next we have Kate Pokrivka.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Kate Pokrivka from 44. I just want to start by thanking Mr. Camus for his attention to taxpayer dollars. And I'm only going to take like 30 seconds. So I would really like to yield the rest of my time to Mr. David Bond. It sounded like he had something really important to say. But my comment is that this school board of 9 members is now in charge of overseeing the spending of tens of millions of dollars in COVID relief from the government, on top of your ordinary fiduciary responsibility. And yet you don't seem to know if each of your 9 school board members is alive or dead. And that's a bit worrisome for the public. And then finally, I agree with everybody else that these meetings should be open to the public. The middle school auditorium is huge. People could easily socially distance. I've been to many meetings. They don't get that crowded. People could spread out. Thank you. And I hope you allow Mr. Bond to take over the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, the only one I have left, I have David Bond asking to speak again.
We heard it.
Okay, that is all we have from the public.
All right, with that, we'll move on to the regular rest of the meeting under general recommended action. We have number 13, accept resolution of Carson versus Luzerne County assessment appeal, assessed value of 40,000. Approve the stipulation of SDK Green Acres tax assessment appeal. Okay, then we have number 21, which we already did, appoint Janet Cassatt to fill the vacancy of Gary Richards. And, and number 15, I'm sorry, they're out. It's to approve the bus contract, Myers AVP Bus Companies for 5 years from 2021 to 2022, 2025 to 2026. And with that, I need a motion. So move.
Second.
Call the roll.
I have a question. Okay. The people that were hired, so you have to bring them up.
They're under,
The names are in there?
yeah,
That's staff.
yeah,
Okay.
that's under staff.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I would like to vote yes and vote no on item number 15 for the busing contract. Item number 10, I would like to vote yes on 1 and 2 and no on items 3 through 7. Number 10 was yes on 1 and 2 and no on 3 through 7. And no on 15, if I heard Mr. Chair correctly, that was the busing contract?
Correct.
So then no on 15.
Yes.
Yes.
No, he said no. No.
Mr. Chair, if I may, and Mr. Attorney Goldberg, and I didn't know vote, I forgot about number 1.
Yes, I think you can go ahead.
Thank you.
At this moment, I think I would like to abstain since I've just been appointed.
Okay. Go to staff recommended action. Staff recommended action. Oh, I read those under staff recommended. No, okay, 15 was up under general recommended. Staff recommended was the appoint Janet, which we already did, so we're okay. But we have number 19, Sabrina Seitz and Sarah Gapold. We're 19 and 20. Motion. So
Motion made. Second.
Okay. Question already. Call the vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I'll abstain.
Okay, finance recommended action.
Second.
Okay, call the roll.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay,
Abstain.
board member comments.
Yeah, sure. I personally either out of the 9 people that have commented that they could not hear portions of our meeting. The 9 people that questioned or spoke in our meeting, and I all stated that they could not hear us. I believe it's a violation of the Sunshine Law for us to even continue. I personally think this meeting is wrong. Just an opinion.
Any other comments? Nope. Okay, next scheduled meeting, August 11th, 7 p.m. Place will be determined.